So I'm the Director of Drug-Free Communities and co-chair of BOAT, which is the organization putting this on today. It's Belchertown Overcoming Adversity Together, and we provide resources out into the community, and we have a lot of events around prevention, treatment, recovery, mental health and wellness, and harm reduction. And this fair today, we're really excited to have you, and we're going to introduce Jake too. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jake White, and I don't have my glasses on, so I struggle. Jake White won his college Shark Tank competition and more than $10,000 as a student business owner. He's been featured in national news outlets like USA Today, and his events have been sponsored by brands like Red Bull and Pizza Hut. But he's a wicked nerd, and we know that because we met him yesterday. And he's seen Harry Potter 17 times.
Yeah.
Jake White!
Yeah! Thank you, thank you. Can we give the BOAT organization one more round of applause? They've planned all year to make this happen. It's pretty incredible. So, students, how many of you saw my presentation already? Okay. Should I make them have as much fun as you had? Yes? Okay, good. All right. Oh, all right, I'll take my phone back. Thank you, Chris. All right, then we're gonna go full cheese. We're gonna count down the presentation. Help me out. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, give somebody a high five around you, all right? Real quick, give someone a high five. Thank y'all for doing that. Once again, my name is Jake. Jake from...
State Farm.
I do not work there. But if you need insurance later, you come talk to me, all right? My best friend Tomas and I started this company called Vive 18 back in 2018. And I'll tell you a little bit about it today, but just a couple quick things about me, and then I'm going to ask about you. Real quick, I grew up in Wisconsin. So if any of you have heard of Oshkosh, Wisconsin? Yeah, right? Where they make the overalls and the baby clothes? You're welcome. I also am just one of those people that I always like to make new foods. Not on like a big budget though. Like one of the recent things I've been obsessed with is whenever I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I just put a different kind of cereal in the middle of it. Just a little new flavor. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. So I enjoy the little things in life. The third thing is that I love playing the drums. And it's something that I started doing in middle school. And I still love it today. I'm not the best, but I enjoy it so much. And so anytime that I go speak, and I was in, this week I was in a couple middle schools, this school as well, and then the high school. And I said, hey, can I have a drum set? And they brought one. So do you want me to play something for you? Yes, please. All right. That was so polite. You said, yes, please. Thanks, Nicole. So let's do this. Again, we're going to have some fun. So we're going to make two teams. Everybody on, I'm going to divide you and your brother. Everybody on this side of the room, you are now team number 1, okay? Everybody on this side, you are now team number 2. And so when I get behind the drum kit and I point over here, everyone says, hey! Ready? Hey! Then team 2, when I point at you like this, everyone says, oh! Oh! All right, that's perfect. That is perfect. All right, let's see how my drumming is today. Oh. Y'all gotta be ready. right, that's what I got for you today. Thank y'all for doing that, by the way. That is so fun. And I told your students this. The reason why I love starting with drums is because even though I've given the same presentation probably 100 times, it's always a new audience, and I still get nervous. Like, even y'all can relate to this. If you're a performer, if you play sports, like before the game starts, you get that feeling in your stomach. You start thinking about maybe the things that could go wrong this time. What if I mess this up? And so drumming is my coping skill. It's my escape. When I'm doing it, I'm not worried about the presentation. And now I feel a little bit confident. I've had some fun with y'all. And so it's just a skill from middle school that still serves me today. Now, I'm going to ask y'all a question just to get to know y'all a little bit. And I'm going to ask it because there's adults in the room. I'm going to ask you to think, what do you think that your students want? What do you think that young people want? And for the students in the room, this is the question for you. If you could fast forward your life 5 or 10 years into the future, what's something that you want out of life? So, yeah, what do you want?
Money.
Money, absolutely. What do y'all think students want? Yes?
A good career that I'm happy in.
A good career that you're happy in? Absolutely. Let's get a parent. Oh yeah, right here. What do you want? You want to have a family? Yeah, that's great. Let's get a parent. What do you think that your students want? Or something that students want today?
Trust.
Trust. Yes. Let's go way back there, nice and loud for me. You got it. Pokemon fan, let's go. Let's give it up for Pokemon. So here's what I love to do. I'm going to put some things on the board. If you want this, or you think that students want this, clap once. Do you think students want to go to college, take care of their family, make lots of money, help people, travel the world, become a better person, have a job they love, play sports, make an impact, create art or music, have great memories, find love? Yeah. Which is so funny. In the presentation, y'all should have been there. Oh my gosh. I said that last line, and the whole crowd was like, yeah! Like they went wild. It is hilarious every time. And I tell them like, hey, I've got good news and I've got bad news. Which one you want first? Which one do y'all want first? The good news or the bad news?
Bad news.
All right, we'll start with the bad, we'll end with the good. The bad news is this. I think everybody wants this stuff. I'm not sure it feels like everybody gets it. But the good news, especially when you're young, is you can have any or all of these things, as long as the choices you make lead you there. And I believe this because growing up, I had this mentor. His name was Akil. Akil was a business owner. He would hang out with me once a month, give me advice, let me ask him anything that I wanted. And one day, I remember the piece of advice he gave me so much, it stuck with me forever. So he said, Jake, where you start in life is made by chance, but where you end is made by choice. And I remember thinking, like I was young, but I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean where you start in life is made by chance, but where you end is made by choice? And he said, well, think about it. You didn't choose where you were born. You don't even choose what time in history you're born or how people treat you. The only thing in life that you have control over are your choices. And so for me, this was super empowering. And why I love doing this job is because I got to hang out with students in this community this week. And they talked to me about their passions, what they want in life, the things that they enjoy, things like sports and music and art and theater and their classes and their families. And so all these things can help form a young person's identity where they have great things to look forward to. Great things like this. But to understand that we're an active participant in creating this life, that can help build some accountability, right? It's like, all right, well, that means that what I do today actually matters for what I get tomorrow. And the theme that we're going to go with today is shortcuts versus skill sets. Everyone say skill set. I love that parents are doing it too. This is great. So I remember in 7th grade, I had gotten this new video game, and it was called Guitar Hero. Have y'all seen Guitar Hero or Rock Band before? Yes. All right, I remember playing this video game in my living room. You're like, yes, I remember the days I were playing it. And I was one of those, right? I got in the video game, and I'm obsessed. So after school, my buddy and I would come home. We'd pop in one of those oven pizzas, right? Right into the oven, put it up to 450 or whatever. And then we'd plug in an Xbox and this plastic guitar. I remember this one day because my dad had never seen the game before. And he walked in and he sees it for the first time. And he says, Jake, what are you doing? And I tell him, I'm like, well, Dad, it's a game called Guitar Hero. Like, you know all those songs from the 70s and the 80s that you love? I'm playing them on the guitar. And I'm thinking he's going to love this thing. But then, parents, you might not know this. There's a face you give before you give a lecture, and your kids know about it. And my dad would narrow his eyes a little bit, and then he'd cross his arms like this. There might be a little smirk on his face, too. But he started asking me questions. He said, Jake, how often do you think you play this game? Well, I mean, we play video games for like an hour after school each day. Okay. Well, there's 5 school days a week, so that's 5 hours a week. And there's 52 weeks in a year. So just to make the math easier, let's say you take 2 weeks off. So 5 times 50. 5 times 5 is 25. Add the 0, and that's 250. Then he says this, Jake, are you going to spend 250 hours this year pretending to be a rock star? I was like, ouch. And yes, I am. This game is so fun. And listen, I think what he was teaching me, what stuck, is that he was teaching me the difference between a shortcut and a skill set, because playing this video game did not require any work from me. I love video games. It's very, very fun, but it doesn't make me a better person. It doesn't make me a better musician. In fact, I'm dependent on the game to feel like a musician. So here's what he said to me. He said, Jake, what if you spent 15 minutes a day practicing a real instrument, and then you spent 45 minutes playing video games? You would be a rock star for real. You could play all these songs for real. You could join a band. And that was it. I could become a musician. I could do something that makes me better every single day. And when it comes to making healthy choices, y'all, today's topic, right, what BOAT does in this community is teaching students how to overcome adversity in healthy ways. Because the shortcut, if we don't do it that way, then we start to build coping skills that aren't really skills. We look for shortcuts. Oh man, I'm feeling anxious, so I'm going to use a drug. Or I want to make friends and fit in, so I'm just going to do what seems easy. Instead, though, what if we relied on skill sets? And we said, oh, I'm feeling anxious. Maybe I should draw. Maybe I should read. Maybe I should invest in my craft if I'm a swimmer, right? Like, it's time to go for a swim because I've had a bad day and I need a good way to let off some steam. And so lesson 1 for every adult in the room as we talk about shortcuts versus skill sets is that everyone is looking for solutions. But one of my friends, he's an economist, and he said, Jake, there are no solutions. There are only trade-offs. And I see that in this, especially with coping skills, is you've got to pay a price to get something that you want. So what are you willing to pay? Are you going to invest the time in becoming better, or are you going to invest the money and maybe the dependence and the freedom and try something like a shortcut? And students today are faced with this decision, right? They see it around them. There's opportunities. It looks different how they're growing up now than how we grew up. Now, I made this decision because I had this uncle. His name is Uncle Whit. He was an engineer. He made 6 figures a year. He was a very bright guy. Probably the smartest person in our whole family. I had watched him struggle with an addiction ever since I was a kid. And my senior year of high school, I didn't have enough money to pay for college. And so I actually worked a full-time job at the golf course. And then I picked up 2 part-time jobs, giving drum lessons and then doing landscaping for people. So I was working like 18 hours a day to pay for my school. On top of that, that same summer, I watched my uncle go to the hospital from his relationship with substances. And so I just decided for me, all right, I've seen where that could take people, and I see all the stuff that I want out of life, all the stuff we clapped for. I've never heard a story about someone who got all the stuff they want from using a drug, but I have heard a lot of stories about how people have suffered and lost things because of drugs. So that meant for me going to college, I'm just not going to drink and smoke. And if y'all can imagine, going to college, making a decision like that, that sounds like things might be awkward. Or like, how am I going to have a social life? Those were the questions going through my mind. And in 2 years of being on a college campus, there was 9,000 people on this campus. I did not meet one person who said, Jake, I'm like you. I don't drink, I don't smoke. And so I literally thought I was the only person out of 9,000 people that was making this choice for myself to be healthy, right? And again, no judgment for anybody who chooses differently. I know I might be in the minority, but this was important to me. And so I felt isolated for making this healthy choice. And I want to ask y'all, because before we get too far into this, I just want to make one thing clear. My story is mine, right? I never want to make anyone feel judged if they choose to use. In fact, it's not really my business whether anybody does. I'm not going to say that drugs are bad and they're going to ruin your life. We're going to talk about science and data today. And then I'll weave in my story as we go. But I would love to make an agreement with y'all. I do this with the students too. I promise not to judge you if we're making different decisions. I promise to give you the information. And if you have any questions or if you disagree with me, that is okay. But I'm just going to ask you, please don't judge me. I promise not to judge you as we share our stories. So if that sounds good, everybody say, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think I heard the Kool-Aid man out there. Oh yeah. That's awesome. Well, I want to ask y'all, who actually has seen someone struggle with an addiction before? Okay, wow, a lot of you. So it's not pretty. We would never wish it upon anyone. But it doesn't start as an addiction, right? It starts with a first use. So why do you think that students might begin using a substance? What would be that reason? Yes.
I want to fit in.
Yeah, to fit in. Yep. What else? What were you going to say?
To be happy.
Maybe to feel happy. What did someone say in the back?
Peer pressure.
Yup. Peer pressure, stress. Say that one more time. The little cute girl. What'd you say?
Be your own person.
Oh, yeah. Be your own person. I love that. I love that. Yeah. Absolutely. There are all these different reasons, and I tend to ask this all across the country, and I get a lot of those answers, right? And I just want to make something clear, right? Is there anything wrong with relieving stress or forgetting or escaping your feelings or being with family? Because maybe your family does that. Like, are these bad things? No way. These aren't bad things. Can a drug give us these things long term? No, absolutely not. So here's the thing. As adults in the room, even as students, those of you who chose to come here twice, that's incredible. You are leaders amongst your peers. So how we model getting these things is probably how our friends are going to get them as well. It's how younger people around us are going to learn, oh, this is how I relieve stress. This is how I have fun, fit in, feel good, escape. And especially if you're an adult in the room, you might realize that kids tend to do what you do rather than do what you say. Is that correct? Like, I don't know if y'all remember when you were a student, you desperately wanted to be an adult. Now that we're adults, we desperately want to be kids again. Like, the grass is greener. You're like, no, don't put me back. All right. Some of us would never want to go back. But that's usually the case, right? Is that we can model things better than we can tell students to do things. And this, to me, is so, so important. And we have to acknowledge, too, like our culture, how it fits in with this. Because we live in a culture where we love shortcuts. If you want something at your house, press the one-day shipping option. If you want some food, put it in the microwave for 90 seconds and you will have a meal. We're so easily to get like things quickly. But the thing about shortcuts, as many of you saw, right? You raised your hand, you've seen addiction. Sometimes taking a shortcut like a drug can cut our life or cut our potential short. That's why I call it that. So how can we get these things with skill sets? That's the question. And I actually would love to pose that. If you're feeling stressed, one thing that is not in the slides, but it's really important to understand, there was a study done with Columbia University, and they interviewed parents and students. The students they interviewed, the ones that were using a drug, they said, "Why do you use?" Now, they also at the same time interviewed those students' parents. And they asked the parents, "Do you believe that your students would use a drug to deal with anxiety?" Now, 7% of parents said my student would use, from like feeling anxiety, they might use a drug. When they asked the students, what is the reason that you use, when it was the students that did, 70% of them, 70% said it was because of anxiety. So real quick, let's have some hands in the air. What is a healthy way to deal with anxiety that's not a shortcut? What would one be?
Exercise.
Exercise?
Go for a hike and go outside.
Yep, get outside, go for a hike, absolutely.
Meditation.
Meditation.
Get a hobby, something you like to do.
Yeah, hobby, something you like to do, absolutely. Yeah.
Volunteering.
Volunteering, yes. Yeah, last one.
Make people happy, like give them compliments and stuff.
Yeah, give people compliments, make them happy, those random acts of kindness. That's incredible. Those are all fantastic things to do. And it's modeling. And what I love to teach is you're actually creating a trigger for your brain. How many of you have heard of like an emotional trigger before? You've heard of that term? Yeah, people mostly talk about it when it comes to trauma. Like, oh, they triggered me and now I feel anxious, or like my trauma is being brought back up. You can build triggers in your mind for positive things too. So if you feel anxious and you do say, oh, I'm going outside or I'm doing this, you actually build a trigger in your brain that when you feel this, your brain wants to do this. Which, the reason why this is so important is because at a young age, if students start using, if they get triggered by something like anxiety and they go to a substance, at an early age, the consequences are greater. In fact, studies show that students who begin using before the age of 15 are 5 times more likely to develop an addiction. Another study in our country showed that 90%, 9 out of 10 adults who are currently addicted, they said they started using before the age of 18. Now, the reason why this is so important is because as an adult, you have a fully formed frontal lobe, the last part of your brain to develop. That includes things, it like takes care of things like problem solving, relationship skills, long-term thinking, emotional regulation. So all the stuff you use to be a like fully formed, amazing adult, that's not done growing until your mid-20s. They used to think it was like 21. What's funny, as the more research they do on the human brain, they keep moving back that age. Like I've read 21, and then I read 24, and then I read 28, and I'm like, I don't know what to trust. I'm just going to say mid-20s. But as more research is done on the brain, we find out. That's why this is true. When a student's brain is not fully formed and they use a substance that goes into their bloodstream, into their brain, into their central nervous system, and it shuts down the development of their frontal lobe. You cannot buy that development time back. It's lost. Now, the good news is if they decide to quit or to stop using a drug, they will actually heal faster, right? Because their brain it still has so much neuroplasticity in it. They can learn faster, they can heal faster, they can change faster. So an adult might need to go to recovery centers and rehab maybe a couple times to get help. Whereas a student, again, if you need help, please ask for it. But sometimes they can quit so fast. They just decide to change and then they do. And their brains are primed for it. So although this is kind of a scary thing, there's also some hope in that too. And if we can be those safe people, those safe, non-judgmental people to ask questions, to be curious about our kids' lives, and maybe it's not your student, maybe it's your student's friend, and you start noticing them changing, is you could be that caring adult that asks them how they're doing and digs in and notices those things and says, hey, like, do you want to go talk to somebody? I'll go with you. It's okay. There's no judgment, and I've made mistakes too. So everyone might need that second chance. Now, it's hard to have this conversation without talking about fentanyl. Raise your hand if you've heard of fentanyl before. Okay. I'll just share a couple stats. The reason why there's a pencil is that much that covers the tip of a pencil is enough to kill someone. Fentanyl is odorless and it's tasteless. And today, if you haven't heard a lot about fentanyl, last year we lost 300 people every day in the US from fentanyl. They thought they were taking a pill for anxiety. They thought they were using a vaping product or THC or dabbing or something like that. But it was laced with fentanyl. And of course, it's very deadly, so we lost 300 people a day. That's basically like a plane crashing every day in the US. I do share this with the students just to say the only safe way to use a drug today, because this exists, is when you get something from the pharmacy, give it to your parents, and your parents give it to you. Do not take any medicine from friends. Do not order anything online. Do not get anything from social media, because you do not know what is in it. So we can look out for our students this way and make sure that everyone is healthy and safe. And students, if you hear or see something going on, please tell a trusted adult, because you could save someone's life. Now, what are the reasons why students might choose not to use? What are some of those reasons? Why do people choose not to? Or maybe just to stop using? Yes, sir.
They would choose not to use because they've heard stories of like people dying.
Yeah. So maybe they've heard stories of people dying. Yep. Yeah.
Because they want to stay in control.
Yeah, they want to stay in control. Yep. Yeah, let's get one more.
Healthier lifestyle.
Healthier lifestyle. Absolutely. Yep. Those are great answers. Maybe someone stopped, or maybe they don't because they want to protect their health, their family, their sports, their money, their job, their grades. Maybe it doesn't align with their faith or their goals. They have fun without it. They lost someone. They want to stay in control or avoid addiction. Now, the reason why I share these two lists is because you notice the first list and why people used. Those aren't bad things, but they were all short term. Like, I want to escape this feeling, right? Like, the drug can't actually give that to us. But it was all the short-term things. And unfortunately, when we're done, right, the feeling goes away and we get our problems right back. The reasons why people stop or don't use is because of long-term things, right? Your health lasts forever. Your family lasts a long time. Your goals, your faith, your values, everything that's here, it becomes a part of you. And so when it comes down to helping students make good decisions, become really strong, resilient students who are not giving into pressures, no matter what our culture says, it's reinforcing these things. In prevention science, they call these protective factors, because the more you have of these, the less likely you are to take risky decisions or make risky decisions and behaviors. So any way that you can help young people understand and develop these things and value them, that's actually great for their long-term health too. Now, let's see. Students, Do you think that a lot of people your age want to be professional athletes, YouTube stars, streamers, and stuff like that? Do you think people want that? Yeah? Adults, how many of you get scared or skeptical when a student says, hey, I'm going to be a professional athlete, musician, YouTuber, stuff like that? It makes you nervous? Okay. I want to say this to you because the intention of saying that, right? Like my dad did that to me, right? He was like, Jake, you want to be a pro football player? I don't know if y'all have seen me. I do not look like a football player. But when I was a kid, I was going to be a quarterback of a football team. And I grew up in Wisconsin, so I was going to be, Brett Favre or whatever. And that didn't turn out, right? So I probably got hurt. And I think a lot of times when if adults tell you, hey, pick a new plan, sometimes it's coming from a place of caring. They don't want you to get hurt or disappointed. But for all the parents in the room, please let them get hurt and disappointed. Please believe in that dream, because if somebody wants to be a professional athlete or a YouTuber, that's the reason why they're going to listen in class, show up to practice, do these things, prioritize their health and their goals. Instead of changing it, please cheer for it. I'm going to say it again. Instead of changing it, please cheer for it. Because, again, yeah, maybe I don't become a pro athlete, but I practiced hard, I stayed fit, I didn't use substances, and I learned along the way what I like and what I don't. I learned what my strengths are and what they're not, and I picked something new. What is that cheesy saying? If you shoot for the moon, you'll land amongst the stars. Like, that sounds dumb, by the way, I don't know, but it's kind of true. If you shoot to be this, you're going to learn along the way, and maybe you'll get something good. I used to want to be a professional musician. I just learned that life on the road, a month at a time, not having any sense of home, wasn't really what I wanted. I saw the music industry and some of the substances that are passed around there and thought, well, that's not a culture I want to build. So instead, I got to take paces that I wanted to build something that I did like. And that's going to happen to you as students. As you go and you create these things, you chase after these dreams, find those cheerleaders, hold on tight to them, and if things don't work out, help regroup and you can create a new plan. You might actually create a better one than you had the first time. It's really, really awesome. Now, I'm going to get us back in our teams. Actually, you know what? Before the game show, I'm going to teach y'all something quick. Everyone say dopamine. Dopamine. All right, this is really important for us to understand. Dopamine, if you're thinking, all right, I have shortcuts and I have skill sets. How can I rely on skill sets to get the same feelings? The answer is dopamine. When someone uses a substance, what happens is their brain spikes in dopamine, and the reward center in your brain is basically hijacked, and it turns on like a fountain of dopamine, and it feels good. As what you might have noticed over time, though, when someone uses more and more of a substance, the effects aren't as great, right? So they have to drink more, smoke more, do more, take more to get that same feeling. And we call that tolerance. So, right, they use more of the drug, more and more likely to become addicted, and we become tolerant. When a student uses that same way, their brain says, ooh, you just gave me a shortcut to get dopamine, and that felt really good. So instead of using the skill sets that you used to get dopamine for, music, drumming, right? For me, drumming, athletics, exercise, friends, reading, hitting your goals, going outside, your brain says, no, I don't want to work that hard. Just give me the easy one. Give me the shortcut. And again, this is because the brain is not fully developed. That is why, even as an adult, if you are using or you know people that are using, it is not okay to have underage students using. One of the biggest things I see is parents are saying, well, I'm just going to have students drink at my house because at least I know they're safe. Y'all, it seems like that is a good intention. It really does. But it actually backfires. Because now your student says, well, it's okay for me to drink. I do it at my house. And if it's okay to drink, then it's probably okay to smoke too, because, well, I'm hearing all these scary things about drinking, and people are saying smoking's not as bad. Now they're being swayed by all this outside materials, and it started in your living room. Instead, if we could have a narrative across Belchertown that says, hey, it is not okay. Until your brain is fully developed, it is not okay to use substances. The only thing we're using is medicine from a doctor through an adult to you. That is the only way that we can safely use it. If you want to try something when your brain is developed, you could do that. But for now, I'm here to protect you. I'm here to keep you safe. I'm your frontal lobe. You might make funny decisions, but I'm going to be the one who's the problem solver, the long-term thinker. Like, that's my job. And students, if you ever get frustrated with your parents because they aren't letting you do things, or whoever you stay with, remember, their first job is to keep you safe, to make sure that you are here tomorrow and that you are loved today. And sometimes it might not feel good. It might feel like, oh, but I just want to stay up till 2 a.m. But I just want to hang out with these friends and not these. But their first job is to keep you safe. And how you get dopamine is so important in that equation. Now, we're going to play a game show. All right, remember in the beginning I had y'all in 2 different teams. So I'm going to invite up one person from each team. So I want to know who's feeling like they're going to come up and be a part of this game show. All right, I'm going to pick you in the back. You can be a part of this team. Come on up. Y'all give it up for her. And then on this side of the room, who's gonna represent Team 1? All right, you, sir, in the back. Come on up. Y'all give it up for him as well. All right, this is where we get to talk about the data behind different substances specifically, because I don't talk about that a lot. And let's meet our contestants. Representing this team over here, what's your name and what's one thing that you like to do for fun?
My name's Anna and I like to dance.
All right, give it up for Anna. Awesome. And then representing this team over here, what's your name, bud, and what's one thing you like to do for fun?
My name is Wesley and I like to play my game.
All right, give it up for Wesley. Anna and Wesley, here are the rules to the game. I'm going to ask a question, and I'll give you 4 options. But you're not alone. You have your entire team to rely on, okay? So once I give you all the options, you're going to look at your team. So you're going to look at everyone on this side of the room, and you're going to look at everyone on this side of the room, and see what they think the answer is. So your job is to help them out. If you think it's option 1, hold up one finger. If you think it's 4, just like that. Let them know. And then once I go like this, that means time's up. I'm going to see what they think the answer is, and we'll go from there. Sound good? All right, you ready, Wesley? Y'all ready to help out? Yes. All right, let's go. Question number 1. Which is true about the nicotine found in vapes and Zyn? Ooh, there's music to make you nervous. Question number 1. A single vape or pod can have as much nicotine as a whole pack of cigarettes? Nicotine is just as addictive as heroin? Nicotine rewires your brain and impacts your brain development, or is it all of these? Now you can rely on your team because some of those words are probably beyond the vocabulary right now. All right, you checking everybody out? Okay, Wesley, what do you think?
4.
All right, Anna?
Also 4.
Okay, they're going with 4. If you're right, there will be a star next to the 4th option. Let's see. All right, give it up. Good job. Good job. All right. Second question. Which of these facts about vaping is false? So there should be 3 true answers and 1 false answer. You have to find the one that's not true. The first vaping device was invented to help people quit smoking cigarettes. Vapes contain over 70 chemicals. Some are toxic and can cause cancer. Vaping can be a good way to deal with stress and mental health issues. Or vaping nicotine or THC is correlated with higher rates of anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. All right, look at your team. Okay. Anna, you ready?
3.
Okay, 3.
3.
All right, they're thinking 3. Let's see which one the star goes on. Good job! Yeah! All right, now whenever I do this, especially in high school, I will ask, how many of you know someone who vapes? And when you ask them why, they say stress, anxiety, or mental health, and almost every hand goes up. And so what I like to share is re-emphasize this idea of shortcuts and skill sets. For example, God bless you, if let's say your kitchen had started on fire, right? That's pretty dramatic, but your kitchen starts on fire. You have two options. Number one is you'd probably want to get out of that room, right, or outside the house, and you would call for help. Option two, though, is you could just forget about this problem because you don't really want to deal with it. You could go to a friend's house, hang out, and just come back later and see how things are. Right? Option one, right? That's the good one. Thank you. Now, but here's the crazy thing. A lot of people use option two when it comes to their mental health. There's something wrong with our brain or the chemicals in our body that aren't working the way that they should, or there's something wrong with how we're feeling. And instead of asking for help, like option one, that would be the smart thing to do, they might choose a shortcut, try to escape their problem by getting a feeling. And a lot of people use different products like that, and I won't say a lot actually, there's not a lot that do it, but we do see it around. And so some people get the idea that, well, I should just escape my problem. I shouldn't solve it because it's easier just to escape it. And yes, shortcuts are easier, but shortcuts have consequences. Skill sets make you better. So if you're able to choose skill sets, you're going to have a better life every single time. And that's a really important message for young people. All right, this one, I know marijuana is a hot topic today. I know there are some adults who use, and I am not going to judge anybody. If you use medically, that's also another thing. But I'm going to ask when it comes to youth substance use, please keep that in mind for this question. So, marijuana is, it's a natural plant and it's good for your health. Is it the second most treated substance in rehab centers? Is it not addictive? Or is it Snoop Dogg's kale? All right, lean on your team for this one, okay? They're going to need to help you out. Okay. All right, Wesley, let's go with you first. What does your team think?
2.
Okay, all right. Anna?
2.
Okay, let's see. Who thinks it's number 4? I would have given you half a point. It's number 2. All right, a couple things to share just about marijuana today. We're seeing people, especially young people, develop schizophrenia and suicide rate increase with marijuana use. And the reason why that's true is 20 years ago, when people used the cannabis plant, which marijuana comes from, that plant had about 3 to 7% THC in it. And THC is the part that's like the drug. Today, the same plant has been so genetically modified that you have up to 30 to 40% THC in the same plant. So if you're me, I'm like, you need to rename that plant. It's not even the same thing. The other thing too with dabs and edibles, sometimes they're up to 90% THC. So again, if someone's in the house with someone that's using edibles or things like that, it's very dangerous for kids. So if you know someone like that, please make sure that you can inquire and see that they're locking those things up, that people don't have access to it, because that's how we accidentally lose people that we love. When it comes to teenage marijuana use, teens who use regularly, studies show are 37% more likely to develop depression, 3.5 times more likely to attempt suicide, and that's because they're 5 times more likely to develop psychosis, and that includes that schizophrenic paranoia that we talked about before. So again, some teens get the idea that they should use this for anxiety, but it's opening the door for all of this. So if you know someone, please ask, hey, how's your anxiety? Do you need help? What can I do for you? How's it going? Never judgment, because that's not helpful, but always curious. How's it going? All right, last question. This one is a doozy. According to the latest Youth Risk Behavior Survey, this fancy study done all across the country with middle and high school students. According to this survey, how many students choose not to use drugs? Is it 12 students? Is it 20% of high schoolers don't use and 50% of middle schoolers don't use? Is it 50% of high schoolers reported not using and 80% of middle schoolers reported not using? Or is this a trick question? Because in school everybody uses? What do y'all think? All right, check out your teammates. All right, Anna, let's go with you first. What do you think?
3.
All right, you're going with 3. Okay, Wesley?
3.
You're also going with 3. Okay. Does anybody think that it's something other than 3? Okay. Interesting. So we got 2s and 3s. All right, let's see what it is. The answer is 3. Okay, y'all give it up. All right, will y'all give it up for our contestants for bravely coming up here? You can have a seat. Good job. Good job. When I read this statistic, I actually didn't believe it. You know how you raised your hand saying, I thought it was the other one? That's what I thought too. Because when I was in school, I went to college and I didn't meet a single person after 2 years who said they didn't drink, they didn't smoke. But then I read a statistic like this, and it said in college, 1 out of every 3 students was just like me. They weren't using any substances. But how did I go 2 years without meeting them? They didn't admit it. Maybe it was the stigma. Now, here's what I learned about the human brain. The human brain does this really resourceful thing where it only takes in information it thinks is helpful to you or relevant to you. So if you walk around thinking that everybody's using, your brain will look for clues to prove you right. You will notice when people are using. You'll smell it, you'll hear it, you'll see it, and you'll gloss over everyone that's not. So it might be I needed to open my mind and just think like, all right, what if I'm not the only one? And I start noticing. The second thing though is I actually decided to test this. I was like, okay, if 1 out of every 3 college students is like me, they're probably also looking for things to do on the weekends. They're probably hoping to make friends in this new environment. And so I'm going to host a house party on my college campus. And I'm just not going to serve any alcohol. I'm going to see if these people really show up. And y'all, I went to school in this town called Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And we had a nickname. So UW Oshkosh, they nicknamed us UW Sloshkosh. Because people got so disgusting on the weekends. Like, it was bad. Now, here I am, this innocent little boy, gonna be throwing a sober house party or a drug-free party. And I remember one of my friends and I, we went around campus one day and we met 129 people. Now, students, you know the answer, so you don't get to guess, all right? I'm gonna ask y'all who haven't heard this story before. Out of 129 college students, how many do you think wanted to come to a sober house party? You are not going to hurt my feelings. Just shout out some numbers.
20.
10, 20, 1, me, yeah. 25, 60, 75. Whoa, all right, we're getting high up there. 10, 100? Whoa, you got faith. 30, all right. Poll is closed. At the end of the day, out of 129 people, 9 of them said no. Yeah! Yeah! It was wild. 120 people, they wrote down a phone number. Now, here's what I thought. I was like, wait. I go to school here. These people are lying. They just feel bad for me. They're probably like, oh, buddy, you have no friends. Okay, we'll come to your party. And like they wrote down a fake phone number or something. But now I had 120 real or fake phone numbers, and I've got to do the thing. And I had never thrown a party before. So I went to the store, and you know those 5-gallon jugs you fill with Gatorade? I had 2 of them. So I filled one with grape Kool-Aid, and I filled another with cherry Kool-Aid. It was like $2, right? So easy decision. Next, I asked my friend to host at his apartment. He had a 1-bedroom apartment, and I lived with my parents. So better there than at my parents' house. Then our friend had a DJ system, right? He had the big speakers, he had the lights, he had the little scratchy thing. It was awesome. So I was like, all right, we're going to have Kool-Aid, we're going to have a DJ, and we're going to have this event at my friend's house. And here's the deal. If 120 people say they're going to show up, we'll be lucky if 30 people are there. So his 1-bedroom apartment is fine. It's like from this piano to the drum set. Perfect for a small get-together. So we got foosball, Kool-Aid, we got a DJ, and we texted everybody like that. We said, we're partying from 9 to midnight. Bring your friends, not your alcohol. Let's go. So 9 o'clock runs around. I'm a little bit late to my own party. And I remember opening the door, and there's a sea full of college students. We counted 85 crammed inside this tiny 1-bedroom apartment. Only one person is having fun. Our DJ, he's like he's having a great time. Everyone else is so jam-packed in the room. They're trying to dance, but they're like, you can't move. It is so bad. Finally, one guy recognizes us as the party host, and he just yells in front of everybody, "Hey, is this your party?" And I'm like, whoa, yeah, why are you so aggressive? The Kool-Aid's gone. This party stinks. And he leaves. And every single person followed him out the door. Y'all, the party started at 9 o'clock. That happened at 9:15. Just like that, it is over. And so I look at my friend and I'm like, that was awesome. Like, of course we ruined their night. We failed. But no one is good at anything on the first time. When you first play your sport, when you first play your instrument, when you first start that hobby, you are terrible at it. But just like any skill set, we've got to do it again and again and again. And so we threw events every other weekend, and by the end of one semester, had hundreds of students every single time. They stayed the whole night. We had more Kool-Aid. And we even started getting sponsored by brands like Red Bull, Pizza Hut, and Subway. And students across the nation would send us messages. How can we do this at our school? Hey, I'm on the track team and I'm trying to make good choices for this season. Hey, I've lost family. I need something like this. My wife, Emily, will you wave back there? That's my wife, Emily. We lived in a trailer. So this was bold. We first got married. And we moved into a trailer with 2 friends, and we traveled the nation throwing sober parties. And it wasn't just with college students anymore, it's with middle school students and high school students. And so not just house parties and barn parties, but like some of them wanted to host a school dance, a rap battle, and an open mic night. One of my favorite ones, they just set up a 200-foot slip and slide down a hill. That's the whole thing. It was incredible. And the premise is, how can we have a good time and get together without it being centered around substances? In our culture, that's so unique. We fill every holiday, every excuse with a substance. If you think about our culture and the way that these substances are marketed, it's like, oh, you had a bad day? Use a substance. Did you have a good day and you want to celebrate? Use a substance. Is there a holiday? Use a substance. We are missing opportunities for things like this. And it became a staple of young people and their development. Now we get to partner with organizations like BOAT to help build things like this and be supportive to your communities and show young people, hey, if you thought that you would be alone for making a healthy choice, like I did, you are not alone. Sometimes you just need to stand up and show that you're a little different. And what you'll find out is people are waiting for you. So you can stand up and be a leader instead of a follower. And of course, if you're ever want to make a change to your lifestyle, if you have done something like this, there is no shame, there is no guilt. You can change whenever you want to. But please ask for help. And once you do, you will still be able to make friends, have fun, and feel good. Because that's what our young people are looking for. And it's important for them to know that. And I think that we all get to model that. Now, That's my co-founder, Tomas. We started this organization back in 2018. And if y'all remember some of the students, we got to end the presentation the same way that we start. Okay, so we're going to play some drums. But this time, I'm going to teach y'all how to play. So if you want to try this, you can do it right here in your seats. And by the end, you will have the basics of drumming down, all right? So let's see. See if the adults or the students do better. And you can use your knee right now. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do it 2 more times. 4. 1 more. And stop. All right, the next thing we need to add is the snare drum. It's that popping sound. So on 3, you're actually going to hit both of your hands, and it will look like this. 1, 2, both. 4. 1, 2, both. Ready? 1, 2, both. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One last time. And stop. Nice work. All right. This is the tough part. The bass drum is played with your foot. It's that big one at the bottom. So there's a pedal, and you have to step on it. So on 1, you are going to have to step down, and then on 3, you're going to have to hit your other hand. But because it's going to mess with your brain, forget the one we just added. Just rest it on your leg. Go back to the original throwing hand. Follow me slowly. Okay? Here we go. Stomp. 2, 3, 4. Stomp. 2, 3, 4. Stomp. All right, one more time. Get it in our brain. Good job. Now when you're ready, we're going to add that other hand. Stomp. 2, both. 4. Stomp. 2, both. 4. Stomp. 2, both. Yeah, one more time. And stop. Y'all, pretty good. Some of y'all had it. I saw some of you, and you were really bad, though, too. So it's good. Hey, y'all, that took me 2 weeks to learn. When I was in middle school, that took me 2 weeks to learn. So if you didn't get it, that's okay. Give it a few more times, and you got it. So whether you take 2 minutes that we just did now to learn the basics of drumming, or you practice and it takes you 2 weeks, imagine if you could do that, learn that skill. What could you do with a lifetime of choosing skill sets instead of taking shortcuts? I promise our students can learn how to make friends, have fun, and feel good without sacrificing their friends or their future. And I bet you we can help them get all the stuff that we clapped for at the beginning of this presentation. So I want to thank y'all for coming here, to being such great community members. This is a big, big turnout. Can y'all give it up for yourselves and once more for the Boat Coalition? Y'all, please, whatever y'all are on, follow Boat. If you want to follow us, we're online. Please keep up the good work. Will y'all say cheese for a quick photo? I want to take a photo with y'all. Actually, you know what? What is it? So Boat is... All right, Belchertown, overcoming adversity together. I'm going to take a video, and I'm going to scan it across. We're going to say it all together on 3. Belchertown, overcoming adversity together. Let's practice. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Belchertown, overcoming adversity together. And then when you're done, everybody go, woo! And stand up and cheer. All right, y'all ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Belchertown, overcoming adversity together. Woo! Y'all are awesome. Thank you so, so much. Oh, you are going to win prizes.